17 seconds. So the son of an ice cream supervisor wins the Super Bowl, and it'll be vanilla tonight on the house.
And lots of it. What a performance by this young Dallas Cowboy football team.
They go back to big day as Super Bowl champions. Dallas 52, Buffalo 17. The first coach to win the National Collegiate Championship title and the Super Bowl. Jimmy Johnson, age 49. And Mama and Papa down there in Port Arthur, Texas. I'm sure they're standing and saluting right now. No distractions, but a great quarterback and a great young defense. And a team now is this, you got to start talking already, Dynasty Dallas, the 90s. I mean, where can they go except to be one of the best for a long time?
The NFC East is going to have to start drafting, trading, and acquiring talent to beat these guys.
Yeah, there were fireworks. And for Buffalo, 3 times in a row, they're the best in the AFC. 3 times in a row, the loser of the Super Bowl. We're standing by in the locker rooms to get the comments from the players, coaches. O.J. Simpson will be in the losers locker room, and Bob Costas in the winning locker room. And that must be how Buffalo feels right now. Their slogan up in that city of Buffalo is the city of good neighbors. And this difficult defeat will test the depths of that wonderful communal spirit, won't it? We'll have the post-game ceremonies for you after this break for your local stations.
Their 6th Super Bowl appearance, their 3rd victory, their 1st in the post-Tom Landry, Gil Brandt, Tex Schramm era, the 1st in the era of Coach Jimmy Johnson and owner Jerry Jones. And just off to the right of Commissioner Tagliabue is the Vince Lombardi Trophy. Commish, I'll leave it to you for the presentation.
Thank you, Bob. Jerry, Jimmy, you two are the architects, the engineers, a lot of people would say the visionaries, who have produced an outstanding season, marking one of the most extraordinary turnarounds in sports league history, capped today by an awesome, awesome display of power, precision, speed, and just about everything else a football team can demonstrate in a game. So congratulations to both of you.
Jimmy, put your hands out here with this.
Jerry, you signed the checks, so you go first.
Well, I will go first. First of all, I want everybody that enjoys sports, want them to know how special this is for these group of people, because they did get up off a knee. They weren't on their back. They were just down on a knee. I'm so proud for Cowboy fans. I can't say enough for what Jimmy has done. He's given his heart and soul to us having a winning football team. I want to thank my family as well, and Paul, all the work you're doing for the NFL.
Jerry, before we talk to Jimmy, teams speak about a 5-year plan. You did it in your 4th. There were so many moves and turning points. Would you pinpoint one as the most important point in the history of this franchise under your direction?
Yes, it's pretty easy. The very first one, when I hired Jimmy Johnson to be the coach.
Jimmy, first coach in history to win a collegiate national championship and the Super Bowl. How does it feel?
Well, it feels great. I think sometimes people might question the way we do things as far as the commitment, but, you know, if you could just feel the way these players feel right now, and I wish everybody in the world could feel the same feeling they have right now, then they would understand the commitment, because, I mean, this has got to be the greatest feeling in of all things, just to be able to go out there and win it all.
How do you feel personally? People talk about, sometimes joke about your intensity and your single-mindedness. How long will you allow yourself to revel in this before you think about next season?
Well, this is one victory that I will enjoy here for a couple of weeks before we start going on to next season. But we got to start looking at those colleges, and we got to look at those players to help us out for next year to get better.
Are you this much better than Buffalo?
Well, you know, Buffalo had a tough string there. You know, we felt like we'd get some turnovers, and we did. And I think, you know, obviously that was the big key. And once you start on a downhill slide like what they had, it was very difficult for them to turn it around, because we've got a good football team.
9 turnovers. The big point in the game, the sequence late in the first quarter, early in the second, Jones takes the fumble in, and then they don't get in from about a foot out with 2 cracks at it.
Well, we play outstanding football. We play good defense, we play good offense, good special teams, and we protect the football. I think that's a big key for our football team is we do protect it. But we have a lot of great players that have given their heart and soul to get to this point.
Honestly, are you surprised that it happened this quickly?
No, I really felt like we were going to be here. I just didn't know how long, but I felt like we'd be here. And once we started going, even the second year, and had a chance for the playoffs, and then the third year going the way we did, I said, hey, anything can happen once we get to the playoffs.
Jimmy Johnson, Jerry Jones, congratulations. Back to talk with some of the winning Dallas Cowboy players when we return to the Rose Bowl in Pasadena in a minute. Jimmy Johnson set to address his team directly. Good enough to let us listen in. Jimmy?
For all of you players and coaches, hey, understand this. As much as you relish being the best, as much as you relish that, as good as it feels, the best thing that you've got and what you'll have the rest of your life is the love that you've got for one another, because that's what got you here, is being a total team. And that feeling is something you'll never, ever lose. It'll be the greatest feeling in the world. Hey, congratulations.
All right, let's talk with some members of the Cowboy offense, beginning with Emmitt Smith, who had over 100 yards in all 3 of the Cowboy playoff victories. Were you surprised by how easy it was for your team today?
Yes, fairly, because we didn't know what to expect from them, and we expected a tough ball game, and things just start working our way. They start turning the ball over. We start scoring more points and taking advantage of every opportunity that they gave us, and you saw what the rest was.
Did you have any conversation at all before the game, maybe during or as you left the field, with Thurman Thomas,
yes,
who in effect was your opposite number?
Yes, I did. He wished me well before the game, and after the game we talked. He congratulated me. We talked about seeing each other maybe later on tonight, perhaps tomorrow when we leave to go over to Hawaii.
Did he make any comment about the game and his own performance?
No, he didn't. He didn't make any comment at all. Only thing he said to me that was very funny, payday coming up sometime later on down the line, and he told me to go get as much as I can.
Did you note discouragement eventually? We're watching one of your runs here. Discouragement on the part of the Bills. Were they a discouraged team?
Well, I think as we start scoring more points, they start getting a little bit down on themselves and so forth. But then they try to pick it up early in the fourth quarter, and we just kept scoring and just took them out of the game, I believe.
All right, let's turn to Troy Aikman alongside Michael Irvin. He hit Michael for 2 touchdowns late in the second quarter. That more or less decided the issue. 8 touchdown passes according to our figures in the postseason, and not a single interception. You picked the right time to peak.
Well, our whole team did, really, and it's been a great stretch for the last 3 games, obviously. Everybody's played outstanding. Our defense has played outstanding, and it's a great feeling. We've been dreaming about this for a long time.
You seemed tremendously composed in your first Super Bowl relatively early in your NFL career. Made a lot of right decisions out there.
Well, early on, I think the whole team, including myself, was a little bit uptight, and we just weren't clicking. We weren't doing the right things, and then we got some things going for us. We settled down a little bit, and then it turned into a game much like any other game that we've played. On this one, we finally got the right coverage, and Michael did a great job getting across the guy's face, and we got the touchdown out of it.
You took what they gave you, as the cliche goes. Early it was Novacek, 5 big catches early and a TD. Did that help to open it up for Michael, because he was your target toward halftime?
Well, he really was, and they were taking away our outside receivers early in the ball game. They forced us to come underneath the J and then work the backs, and then once we got things going, they started trying to put some pressure on me. That opened up Michael up, and he and Alvin were able to do a great job of getting open.
What did you do to neutralize Bruce Smith?
Well, our offensive line has played outstanding all year long, and we had a lot of respect for this defensive football team, and we came in, we kept backs in at times to try to help out when we could, and the offensive line really did an outstanding job. I got hit early a few times, and then after that, they picked it up, and they did great.
Troy, congratulations.
Thanks, Bob.
All right, let's turn to Michael Irvin. A moment ago, he was holding the Vince Lombardi trophy precariously over my head. I turned to him, I said, look, don't drop this thing. He said, I don't drop anything, and today you certainly didn't.
No, it was a great effort by the whole team. Like Troy said early on, they was going double teaming outside receivers, and we figured, hey, well, we'll hit some passes inside to Jay, throw a few passes to Darryl and Emmett, and then they'll come off us and play us one-on-one outside.
They were here for their 3rd time, lots of veteran players. You guys have the youngest team in the NFL, but it appeared approaching the game that you were supremely confident?
Yeah, but like I said all week long, I think everybody really underestimate the job that our coaching staff does preparing us for big games. You know, they put us in every situation physically on the field, and if we don't have time to do it on the field, they put us in every situation mentally in the classroom. They do a great job preparing us for big games.
We're going to talk to Ken Norton in just a minute after a break, but last question for you. I don't mean to put you in a position to be less than gracious, but people wonder about this. 9 turnovers, the game got away from Buffalo. But how much better are the Cowboys than the Bills? Or maybe the way to put it is, how do the Bills compare to the best teams that you had to get by in the NFC to get here?
Well, they got a great team. There's no doubt they have a great team, and we do play great competition all year long, and that prepared us for this game. But the thing is, it's not like they're just going out turning over the ball. Our whole job, and they stress that all week, commit turnovers. Let's go out and force turnovers. We don't only tackle the player, we tackle the ball. They do a great job of that on defense.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
All right, Michael Irvin, and we come back with Ken Norton and others after this break.
Coach, had to be a tough day. What happened out there? The team never seemed to get in sync.
Well, O.J., a lot of things happened, of course, as you well know. Our inability to get in the end zone in the first half, when we were down close twice, had an effect on us. Still, the score was 14-10 with 2 minutes to go in the half, and they got one very good drive for a touchdown. We had a turnover on the next possession. They took that in for a touchdown. 9 turnovers in the game, and they converted 5 of them into touchdown scores. That made a difference. Now, I'm not saying it's all luck. They played well. They forced turnovers. We didn't play very well. We picked the wrong day to play poorly.
Why is it with this Buffalo team, they play well throughout the playoffs? This is the 3rd Super Bowl, and I would say they played not their best football. Why is it in the Super Bowl they don't play well?
I wish I could put my finger on it. Again, I felt their preparation was good. The attention was good. The motivation to win was high. The attention to detail all during the practice time was good. But we sure weren't good enough tonight.
What could you say to the team after the game? And what can you say to get this team back to a Super Bowl possibly next year?
Well, immediately after the game, O.J., I have to be honest with you, I told him, I said, you don't want to hear any speeches from me right now. You don't want to hear any words. I know how you're hurting. We'll let it rest, and when we have our team meeting, which will be on Tuesday, we'll discuss it then.
You didn't feel this team was tight at all?
Well, they certainly appeared to play tight. I didn't have the impression before the game they were, no.
I'm sorry, Coach. Hopefully we'll see you back here next year taking another shot at it.
All you can ask for is the opportunity. Then you got to do something about it when you get here. And we'll certainly strive for that opportunity and do something about it when we get here.
Marv Levy, Buffalo Bills. Back to you, Bob, over in the winner's locker room.
O.J., thanks, Marv Levy. A gentleman, composed, as always. 3 key members of the Dallas defense. Coordinator Dave Wanstead, as of tomorrow, head coach of the Bears. Thomas Everett, over from Pittsburgh. 2 big picks today. Did you just get the news, Ken? Ken Norton just finding out that he'll be without Dave Wanstead come tomorrow. Heartbreaking, isn't it?
It is very heartbreaking. He's done a great job for this defense, and we take our hats off to our coach, and it's very important to us all. For this defense that everybody's been talking about all year, about no name and all that, they got to know us now. We're the new world champions around here.
No member of your defense made the Pro Bowl, but collectively, you were the NFL's best. Let's talk about the game that you had. Your hit knocked Kelly out. You had the fumble return late for a touchdown, and I think the most important play you turned in, this one, when you stung Kenneth Davis on 3rd down near the goal line. Look at Kelly. He's already signaling touchdown because it looked like Kenneth had a good head of steam up. You stuffed him, and then Thomas intercepted in the end zone on 4th down.
Definitely, it's a goal line, something we've been working on. We've been very strong on it all year. You have to take our hats off to our whole defensive line, our whole linebackers and everything for the coaches calling the plays. And I think that you got to take our hats to our defense. We did a great job once again, and it's a great feeling for us.
And there's your touchdown just to cap it for you on Super Sunday.
Definitely. I've been trying to score for 5 years now, and the fact that I was able to come home and play on my home turf, in fact, it's very, very fitting for me. It's a great feeling for me as well as our defense. I just want everybody to know that our defense is somebody now. They got to know who we are.
Last question and a personal one. Everybody wants to know if you have had any contact or plan any with your dad, the former heavyweight champion, in light of this great personal triumph. Will you call him?
I'm just talking about the Super Bowl right now. It's a great feeling for me right now. I'm feeling very good, and I'm going to get this ball to our defensive coach right now.
Hey, all right.
Coach, don't be afraid of it,
Let's talk to Coach Wanstead for a second because it sets up the play we're going to show for Thomas Everett. A great call, 4th and less than a yard, only about a foot to go. You thought they'd pass. You went nickel.
Well, we were trying to get our substitutions in as much as we could, and they were hitting us on some quick passes, so we locked on and played man, and it was really a great read by Thomas. I mean, he read the route right and made a great break on it, and it was a big play in the game. But, again, I'm just going to reinforce these players win games, and these guys have been outstanding. I think everybody played. We've been playing 18 guys consistently throughout the year, and we had a chance to play a lot of guys tonight, and everybody contributed.
How long do you savor this before you head for Chicago?
Oh, for the rest of my life. I mean, this is going to be with me forever, and now the family will just grow. It'll get better, but you don't ever lose or leave the feelings that you have for this group, and it'll always be here. There'll always be a part of me with this.
We'll get to Jim Kelly in a second, standing by in the Buffalo locker room quickly with Thomas Everett. You and Charles Haley, two key defensive acquisitions to kind of round things out. 2 interceptions for you today in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, you know, we just great game plan coming in, and we had guys that's been executing all season, and you know, we got after them today, and you know, I'm just hustling to the ball, and good things happen.
You were confident you'd beat them, obviously. At what point did you begin to believe you'd dominate them as you did?
Well, after they threw that touchdown on me, you know, I got a little nervous there, but yeah, you know, I'm an experienced guy, so I know how to handle myself. And after the Harper hit that long TD, I knew that you know, we could get after him then.
All right, off to the Buffalo locker room. Jim Kelly standing by with OJ. Juice.
Thank you, Bob. Jim, first of all, your health. What happened?
Well, the same thing had happened last time. I stretched the ligaments. A guy came in. I don't know who it was, but fell on my knee and it popped out of joint. And, it's one of those things that happen. It's like, what have I done to deserve this? And it's really hard to say.
You guys had a couple opportunities early in the game to score. You couldn't get the ball in the end zone. What were they doing to make it so difficult?
Well, on the one that the interception is 4th down, and coach decided to call a sprint out. And when we did, really tell you the truth, they went to a zone, and it's really designed to go against a man. And it was one of those things that I had no other choice and to throw it up and just, you know, keep our fingers crossed it went in our guys' hands, and evidently it didn't. So in order to beat a football team, we said it before, you can't turn a football over, and we turned it over 9 times. You can't be a college team doing that.
Say 3 strikes and you're out. How are you guys going to be able to pull it together to give it another shot next season? Can you do that?
Well, I've always said never count us out. Everybody said that after a second time, but this is one where, you know, it hurts, and it hurts right in the heart because it's one where, you know, you've worked so hard to get to where you're at. You've been through a lot of things during the season. You've fought to this game, and then all of a sudden this happens. You always wonder why us, but somebody's got to win, somebody's got to lose. We've got to keep our heads up. We have a lot to be proud of.
Well, go home, get healthy, and hopefully we'll see you back here next year. Bob, back to you.
Some of the scenes from the Cowboys' victory in Super Bowl 27. We'll get the thoughts of Mike Ditka when we come back. The AFC, Mike Ditka was part of that run as coach of the Chicago Bears in Super Bowl 20. And here's Iron Mike with Jim Lampley.
All right, thank you very much, Bob. I'm inside the Rose Bowl with the man who is now one of the premier prognosticators in pro football. Hey, you had your ups and downs as a coach, but you were all alone in pregame today, picking the Cowboys to win the football game. Maybe you ought to keep at this, huh?
Well, Jim, I really felt that they're the best talent. You know, when they went out and beat the 49ers, I felt the 49ers were the best team in the NFC, and with a question of whether Dallas could beat them. And they went out on 49ers field under very poor conditions and really beat a good football team. I felt coming in here that they were very strong in every position, especially coaching. I think Jimmy and his staff have done an outstanding job, and I think the players that they've acquired and the way they fit them into their system is why they won. They're a team that not only has great speed and talent, but they'll get up and hit you.
You coached a team that had a great regular season, rose like the tide in the playoffs, scored a Super Bowl blowout like this. How now does the challenge for Jimmy Johnson and his staff next year differ from what they did this year?
Well, everybody got to stay focused. They got to realize the reason they won this year, Jim, is because they played totally as a team. They had the #1 defense in the league because they played a team concept. They didn't worry about who got the credit or who got the blame. And that's what you can't have creep in. If you have that creep in, you're going to have some problems. I don't see that happening. I think this organization is very focused. I said it 4 years ago, even when they were 1-15, that they were going to do some of the right things to put them in the right direction, and they did. They made a couple key trades. They pulled the wool over a few teams in the National Football League. Let's be honest. Nobody wants to admit it, but they really hoodwinked some people. And by doing that, they put themselves in position to draft some key people to put them on the football field to come out and win a Super Bowl 3 years later.
All right, thanks very much, Mike. And incidentally, terrific job today. Congratulations. When we come back, a music video tribute to the champions of pro football, the Dallas Cowboys.
In a fair world, there ought to be plenty of honor left for a team like the Buffalo Bills, best in their conference for 3 consecutive years. But in the modern world, and with the expectations of fans, in fact, demands of some fans rather than best hopes, when you lose the Super Bowl, you're going to be grouped with the Denver Broncos, who lost 3 in a 4-year stretch and 4 overall in franchise history, with the Vikings, who, despite the presence of some great Hall of Fame names, lost 3 in a 4-year stretch and 4 overall. And that, sadly, is the fate of the Buffalo Bills until they can win one. As for the Dallas Cowboys, in just the 4th year of the Jimmy Johnson, Jerry Jones era, they are back on top. And while it will cause some to rejoice and others to gnash their teeth, it's a fact that for the next year at least, the Dallas Cowboys are once again America's team. I'm Bob Costas. For all of us, good night from the Rose Bowl in Pasadena.
Bowl for UCLA, 22 of 30 for 273 yards, 4 touchdowns to 69 points, the highest scoring game ever in the Super Bowl. Afterwards, there were plenty of happy Cowboys to go around, starting with the MVP, Troy Aikman.
Right here. I'm going to Disneyland. I'm going to Disney World. I'm going to Disney World. I'm going to Disneyland. I'm going to Disneyland. I'm going to Disney World. I'm going to Disney World.
All right. We worked so hard, man. Nobody ever gave us such a chance to do it, man. And I just can't believe it. Awesome, baby. This means the boys are back. The boys are back, baby. Hey, the boys are back.
I don't think there's a word right now that can describe our feeling. The fact that we're playing great. I think right now we're feeling very unconscious. It's a great feeling. I don't know if there's a word to describe it, but it's something that we've worked for, and we wouldn't settle for anything less than a win today.
We had that offensive line, and we know we would pound on them and pound and just run the ball down their throat.
Yeah. Let me tell you something. The boys are back in town. Thin Lizzy or no Thin Lizzy. And they're going to be back in town for a long, long time. Tommy, I mean, we talk about Big D. Were they big today or what?
Well, Chris, I say we forget about the Buffalo Bills for the moment and the 3rd straight Super Bowl loss and what that's going to mean to that team. You think about the Dallas Cowboys. You're talking about the youngest team in football, which really means they're going to get better constantly, kind of the fact that they don't know what they're doing. And you think about that in long-term...
Yeah, I know, Tom. It's scary, man. I mean, they are absolutely incredible. That's the only way you can describe them. I think the Dallas Cowboys went into this game. They had a game plan. They wanted to do something on offense. They wanted to do something on defense. They did exactly what they wanted to do on both sides of the ball. You have to give credit to the players. Coaches do it. But take a moment now. Dave Wannstedt, defensive coach, congratulations, head coach, Chicago Bears. Norv Turner, great job with the offense.
Well, and you know, we wondered what youth would do in a big game like this. Would they get jittery? And we'll talk about the turnovers. I mean, there were more turnovers than at your favorite bakery committed by the Bills. But, I mean, the Cowboys, what young mistakes did they make? A couple of personal fouls, maybe. They got a block punt, but that was it. They took care of the football. And if that's the worst they were going to do as the youngest team in the league, what's going to happen when they get experience? I know, Tommy, 52-17, it sounds ridiculous to pick out one play as a turning point. But there may have been one that turned the tide, of course, into a tidal wave.
Well, I think when you talk about the history of the ball clubs, Chris, we went into this game, Joe talked about it during the week, we were probably going to see two inappropriate throws by Jim Kelly during the course of the day, and Troy Aikman was going to protect the ball. And I think if there's one play that kind of indicates how the tone was set for the last 3 quarters of the football game, it's the play on the 1-yard line when Jim Kelly now will roll to the right, get the pressure, throw the ball back across the defense, and get the interception by Everett. Once that play took place, you absolutely knew this game was headed in the wrong direction.
And you know, the formation, it was just a basic, it wasn't a power formation. They weren't running the ball up the middle. I mean, that didn't bode well for a team that figured that they could score and push around maybe the Dallas defense. And other mishaps for the Bills.
Well,
Joe.
you know, the other mishap really has little to do with what was executed on the field. What it was basically the fact that they couldn't stand on their feet. All afternoon through the first half, all you saw was cleats being changed on the Dallas Cowboys side. You see Giesick getting some new treads in the pits. Now you go out on the football field, and there's Pete Metzelaar on a blitz. Very key play. First interception that Jim Kelly throws. Was it a bad throw by Jim Kelly? Not necessarily. The fact is, Pete Metzelaar didn't have the right kind of cleats on his feet. We saw Bruce Smith slip. We saw Emmett Thomas Smith. We saw Kenneth Davis slip. We've seen everybody on the Buffalo Bills slip. Nobody, not even Michael Irvin slips. Williams slips trying to get to him. Irvin winds up with a touchdown. Everything turned out being one big slip.
Yeah, it was a big slip, all right. And I tell you what, for the Buffalo Bills, a devastating loss. No question about that. Not only by the score, but the way they clawed and said this wouldn't be different. I tell you what, rather than have us say it, and we'll have plenty more to say about it. We've got an hour-long edition of SportsCenter/Primetime. Let's go and get our Andrea Kramer with Bruce Smith of the Bills. Andrea?
Hold on. Thank you very much. Bruce, why do the Bills always manage to save the worst game for the last game?
The sad part about this whole issue is you're always remembered for your last game, whether you win or lose. And it's an unfortunate situation. We had a great year. We were able to accomplish a lot of things defensively. It's just an unfortunate situation for this organization. We just have to find a way to stick together and show a lot of character and class and come back next year.
Why wasn't the defense able to generate any kind of pressure on Troy Aikman, particularly from the defensive line?
Well, one particular reason, Troy doesn't hold the ball very long. Another thing is that they have a very good offensive line. And when a quarterback doesn't hold the ball very long, and sometimes the receivers make big plays, it's very hard for defensive linemen. Again, we're paid to get pressure on the quarterback, and it didn't happen today. The first half we were in a certain defensive scheme, and the second half we changed up, and we were able to get some pressure on him. I know Cornelius had pressure on him in the first half, and again in the second half I think we got a little pressure on him, but when you lose, it's never enough.
Thank you very much for your time, being such a gentleman and joining us.
Thank you.
Back to the studio.
Well, our Hotel California studio here at the Century Plaza Hotel. Well, you heard Bruce Smith say that for a while they thought they had the defense going, and it did look like they were moving around. They looked faster than Dallas's offensive line did at that point. For example, as we go inside the numbers, early on, just as the Cowboys did a marvelous job in shackling Thurman Thomas, Emmitt Smith's first 9 carries netted only 16 yards. But that big run with about 2 minutes to go in the second quarter opened up the floodgates. His last 13 carries netted 92. The C-note for the leading rusher in the NFL, Emmitt Smith, and the Cowboys were off to the races. A tale of 2 quarterbacks as we get set to come back here to Los Angeles for Jim Kelly. It was a tale that, well, certainly didn't.
Was it right for the goal line? Irvin jumping.